Hey guys, what's up? Welcome to today's episode. I am going to talk to you today about calorie deficits. And this is coming from recently, I did the Gym Confidence series, and the last episode of that series was talking about body recomposition, understanding body recomposition, and how that relates to understanding the gym, understanding workouts, and how we can use that to change our body. And I talked very briefly in that episode about calorie deficits and asked you to come talk to me on Spotify or send me a message if you wanted me to dive into calorie deficits a little bit more, because body recomp, we don't talk a lot about calorie deficits and body recomposition. We're mostly living in maintenance, and we're doing some calorie surplus phases and some calorie deficit phases, but I didn't want to get into it in that episode. So this episode is going to be basically a continuation of that, in the sense that a lot of you wanted me to preach about calorie deficits. And so I'm really excited to do that and to break it down here. There's a lot to calorie deficit. When I was creating the notes for this episode, and per usual with anything that the internet, social media specifically, gets its hands on, it just becomes so overcomplicated. And it's so annoying to me because at first I'm thinking, well, I'll just be able to jump on an episode and talk about calorie deficits and tell you what it is and how to put yourself in a calorie deficit, and that it's the only way that you can technically lose weight. Like, it should be so simple to tell you what a calorie deficit is and let you know whether or not you need one, when you need one, etc. Unfortunately, we now have social media. We now have so many coaches and influencers and personal trainers, and we have TikTok and we have Skinny Talk, and we have so much information, so much bullshit out there that I'm going to have to dive into this in so many different directions. And that's fine. I love doing that, but it's annoying to me because when I'm just like, I want to get to the basics of what a calorie deficit is, and I just want to be able to explain it to you as a whole. I can't do that in just simple terms because everything is so messed up on the internet and you hear so many things. So this is going to be a really, really good episode, though. I am excited to dive into it. And I had a feeling when I was talking about maintenance calories, and then I briefly touched on calorie deficit, I had a feeling, just the way that I was talking about it, that you were going to want more, and you did. And I'm excited for that. So before we dive in, though, I just want to very briefly talk about myself really quickly. I just this week, and I'm recording this a week before this episode will come out, a week and a half actually. But so you might have seen me talk about this on social media, and I did talk about it inside my challenge with my girls this week on our group call. But I am feeling so good right now with my routine, with my workouts, with my steps, with my sleep, with just everything that I have set up for myself physically. I'm not exactly like, I still have room for improvement, but I feel like that's always going to be the case. I don't feel like I'm ever going to say, this is exactly where I want to be and I don't want anything to change for my body. I'm very, very happy with where I am. I'm finally gaining some upper body strength, and you can see it on me. And that is great because I do not gain muscle in my upper body quickly. It takes a lot of work and a lot of narrowing down my macros and my calories and my maintenance and my deficits for myself. But I just wanted to say, like, it's been a long couple of years with just different things going on in my life and struggles. Last year, I struggled a lot with high blood pressure, and perimenopause has really kicked me in the ass. And I just feel like I've been beat down a little bit. Last year was just really, really hard to. Now, we know, if you know me at all, you know that I am very disciplined. This shit is not optional. And I don't say that as a joke or like for you to do and me not to do. I am going to work out. I am going to get very close to my macros. I'm not going to veer very, very far from my plan. I'm going to hit my steps. This stuff is all very habitual for me, and it's just my lifestyle. So that part wasn't hard. What was hard was figuring out a new balance of what my heart can handle and how much sleep I need and what I'm not able to lift as heavy, and just how my body was changing and then how my body was responding to the stimulus that it was under. And it took a long time, but I gave myself grace. I always, always, always showed up to the best of my ability. I gave myself grace. I gave myself time because there's no rush to figure it out. I have to get a solid foundation. I have to pivot, but I just feel super proud of myself. And finally, I feel like my body physically, I'm seeing changes. I'm seeing my abs again. I'm seeing a lot of muscle definition in my legs. I'm able to run again. My shoulders are getting bigger. When I'm doing lateral raises, I can see so many muscles in my arms. And it feels so good to know that all of that shit and all of those really hard times that I was struggling through and I showed up anyway, that it all just counts. And I know that, but it's so good to see it physically on your body. So anyway, for anyone who needs to hear that, just keep fucking going. Keep these habits going. Whatever you're going through physically, mentally, it all matters, but you just have to keep moving. It is not optional. If you are choosing to not work on your body, if you're choosing not to hit your steps, not eat right, not hit your macros, not lift weights, you are essentially choosing to let your body dwindle. And it's going to do that on its own. Like we have to do everything in our power to fight that in whatever way we can. And eventually this too shall pass. Like this shit will be over with that you're dealing with, or it will become more normal and you will get used to it. But I'm just so happy. I had to rearrange my workout schedule. I had to rearrange some of my foods and it's all good. Like I'm finally feeling just so good. I finally have been looking in the mirror and like recognizing the woman staring back at me and fuck, that feels so good. So anyway, I just wanted to touch on that because just keep going, keep pivoting, changing. You got this. Okay. So let's talk about calorie deficits, what they are, what it means, why you don't want to be living in a calorie deficit, why calorie deficit is not the end all be all. It's not the goal. It's not where you want to live. It's not where you're going to thrive. And I want to talk about that. So again, the basis of this came from the episode where I was talking about body recomposition. And I briefly touched on calorie deficits, but I said I don't want to talk about it too much here. I want to keep that episode about body recomp and maintenance calories. And so where that really came from was we hear all over social media, the only way to lose weight is in a calorie deficit. Body recomp is what I strive for, and it's what most of my clients strive for. And whether you are listening to this and you're like, I'm not striving for body recomp, I only want to lose weight. Yes, perfect. And that's fine. But essentially, what you do want to do is change how your body looks. Yes, you would like the number on the scale to be lower, but essentially, you don't just want to lose weight. You want to look different, be comfortable in your clothes, and you want to change the look of your body. And that may include weight loss. But I want to make that very clear because if you are someone who's thinking, no, I only want to lose weight, I challenge you to think about that. Because if you get down to a number on the scale that you're happy with, if your goal is 150 pounds on the scale and you're like, when I get to 150 pounds, I will be so happy. The only thing I want is weight loss. If you get to 150 pounds on the scale and your clothes don't fit right and you still don't like the way you look in the mirror and you've been starving yourself to get there and now you don't know what to do, are you really going to be happy? I challenge you on that because I don't think that that's true. But what you're going to hear on social media and what I hear people say to me that they've heard on social media and what I hear on social media all the time is the only way to lose weight is a calorie deficit. That is true. The only way to lose weight is to be in a calorie deficit. But that's an incomplete statement. It's not thorough and it leaves out a lot of information and nuance that we are going to talk about. So if the only goal is a calorie deficit, that essentially means you're also going to hear you need to eat less, you need to move more, and you need to keep cutting calories until the scale moves. It's just not that simple. It's not that simple because that's not sustainable and you don't know what you're doing. So that's what I want to talk about in this episode is what a calorie deficit actually is, why it's not as simple as just eating less and cutting carbs or cutting calories, why some women, when you cut calories, it won't work, why you actually need maintenance calories before you need a deficit. I've had some clients come to me and we have cut calories and cut calories and cut calories, and the scale does not move. That's because they need to reverse diet. They need to find their maintenance calories and stay there for a while and make their body happy and trust them before they can just go into a calorie deficit. And I also want to talk about how calorie deficits do tie into body recomposition. So first of all, let's talk about what a calorie deficit is. And I briefly touched on this in the other body recomposition episode, but essentially a calorie deficit just means that your body is burning more calories than you are consuming. So that's what drives fat loss. It's not the keto diet. It's not the low carb diet that you've tried. It's not intermittent fasting. It's not a detox. It's not fat burners. Those things are not what worked for you. Keto didn't work for you. Intermittent fasting didn't work for you. What worked for you was those things caused you to eat less. And so you were in a calorie deficit. In addition to, usually if you're doing a program and they have you doing intermittent fasting, you're also walking more, moving more, exercising. So you are burning more calories and you're consuming less calories, which is a calorie deficit, which is exactly what I talked about. But the thing that helped you, the thing that worked for you was the calorie deficit. It wasn't the name attached to the diet that you did to create that deficit. Okay. The deficit itself is what causes that fat loss. So yes, a calorie deficit is required for fat loss, but that's where the conversation on social media usually stops. They're like, yeah, you need to be in a calorie deficit. The only way to lose weight is a calorie deficit. No matter what, no matter if you're a hormonal woman, no matter whatever it is, right? It'll work for you. A calorie deficit will work for you. Eat less, move more, you have a calorie deficit, you're good to go. The 30-second video ends there. And then we don't understand what that means. And so then you're out there trying to eat less and move more, and it just doesn't tell the entire story. So the internet likes simple answers. So things like just eat less and move more and be in a deficit are very quick. It's very quick. Someone will click on that video and then they will go to that person's page and they'll go down a rabbit hole of their information. And that's what that person wanted with that content. We're going to dive into it now. So there's a huge difference between someone eating 2,500 calories per day going into a deficit and someone eating 1,200 calories per day going into a calorie deficit. The advice cannot be the same. That's why social media sucks, because it's basic advice, and basic advice doesn't work for everyone. It doesn't work for the masses. There are little nuances, and they're like how much you're consuming right now matters. How much you're moving right now matters. Your history with dieting and movement and exercise, how much muscle mass you have matters. It just can't be the same. So the person eating 2,500 calories that wants to lose fat, wants to lose weight, has plenty of room to create a deficit. They can easily cut 500 calories, still be consuming 2,000 calories, and they're good to go. They're still fueling their body and they're very fed. And that's probably all they need to do. They probably don't need to change their movement at all. Someone eating 1,200 calories who's doing keto, they're already not eating carbs, they're starving themselves. That person can't cut 500 calories from their diet. They're starving at that point. They're 700 calories consuming per day if they cut 500 calories. Do you see where the difference is? Just that advice sucks, because in general, that's just not helpful. So your deficit depends on your starting point. If you can be in a 100 calorie deficit and you can be in a 500 calorie deficit. Obviously, the bigger the deficit between what you're consuming and what you're burning calorie wise, the more fat, the more weight you're going to lose faster. You're also going to be more hungry and it's going to be more work. But the deficit isn't a certain amount. It's not like 500 calories is the winner. It's just, that's kind of where it falls as far as most coaches recommending 500 calorie deficit. Doesn't have to be. You could do a 200 calorie deficit for 6 months. You could do a 300 calorie deficit for 4 months. You could do a 100 calorie deficit for 8 months. You could do a 500 calorie deficit for 2 months. It depends. And then also it depends on your starting place. So I see this all the time. Almost every woman that has come to me saying this, I've been eating 1,200 calories and I'm not losing weight. They come to me saying, I've been eating very, very little. I'm tracking everything I'm eating. I'm eating 1,200 calories, sometimes 14, sometimes 1,600, but still, we're going to stick around that number. So 1,200 calories. And I need help. I need to know how to lose weight. I need to know why the scale's not moving and I'm eating 1,200 calories. Basically, what they're saying is, I'm doing everything right. I'm eating 1,200 calories. That's not much. I'm starving myself. I'm trying really hard. I'm doing a good job, A for effort, and I'm not losing weight. What is going on? Something's wrong with me. I am the exception to the rule, Christy, and I need help. Okay. Their immediate thought is, I need to eat less or I need to do more. I need to add on things. And by doing more, that increases the deficit. But let's think about that. If you're already eating 1,200 calories, what's the next step? You then eat less. You eat 1,100 calories, 1,000 calories. Let's say you go down to 1,000 calories and the scale starts moving. I do not recommend this, by the way. And the scale starts moving, you're losing weight. Well, then it plateaus. And all of a sudden you're like, no, I'm eating 1,000 calories and I'm not losing weight. What's next? 900 calories, 800 calories. I have had clients come to me eating like 800 calories before. And it was so scary because they're so scared to eat more because they're eating 800 calories and they're not losing weight. What is happening? You cannot eat less than that. You should not be eating 800 calories. Your body is wrecked at that point. So at some point, you're going to run out of calories to cut, right? You can get on a fat burner. You can get on an appetite suppressant, but what is the point? So you eat less. Your body still needs fat. It needs fuel. It needs energy. Your body needs nutrients. Your body needs some fucking food. And so no, lowering calories is not a good idea for someone coming to me already eating 1,200 calories, 1,400 calories, 1,600 calories. I don't even want you to come to me eating 1,600 calories and cut. What am I going to cut you to? 1,400 calories? As a grown adult, that's a good starting point, right? If you're eating 1,200 calories, we want to get you to 1,400, of course. Increasing your calories, which is called a reverse diet, increasing your calories at any rate is great news. So if I'm increasing you to 1,400 to 1,600, that's perfect. That's not what I'm talking about. But I'm certainly not going to put you into a long-term calorie deficit at 1,400 calories as a grown adult. Not going to happen. Okay. So some people are going to need maintenance before a deficit. This is the part that nobody talks about on the internet. I feel like not thoroughly anyway. So sometimes the answer is not eat less. Sometimes the answer is not a calorie deficit. Sometimes the answer is eat more first. This is important for someone who has been dieting for years, who is currently chronically overeating, constantly starting over every single Monday, running on coffee and caffeine drinks. And I have a caffeine drink next to me, but I digress. And willpower. It's just like if that is what you are doing and you are trying to not eat and you are eating very, very low carbs and very, very low calorie and trying to just drink water and drink, what is this monster? 10 calories, 10 calorie energy drinks or 10 calorie anything just because it's very low calorie. You need to spend some time at maintenance calories, not because maintenance causes fat loss. That part is not going to get you to your immediate goal. That part is not going to immediately get you to your goal, I should say. But because maintenance allows you to recover better, to train harder, to build consistency, to increase your energy, improve your performance, normalize your hunger signals, put on some muscle, put on a little bit of body weight, feel good, be functioning like a normal body should function. We have to do that first before we can cut. So does that make sense? So the goal for fat loss, for weight loss, is a calorie deficit, but that doesn't mean that you can go into a calorie deficit right now all the time. If you're eating enough, if you're already at maintenance calories, sure, you could probably go into a calorie deficit. But if you are maintaining, remember, maintenance calories are the amount of calories that it takes to maintain your current body weight. If someone is coming to me, like I said, maintaining their body weight on that 1,400 calories, that's still not enough to create a big deficit. We're not going to cut 500 calories from 1,400. We still need to now reverse to 1,500, to 1,600, to 1,700. We want to get you up to 1,800 calories, 1,900 calories. The goal is to eat the most and maintain your body weight. Then we can put you into a calorie deficit. So sometimes we have to go in and regulate our body and do all those things that I mentioned, work on recovery, work on body composition, work on strength, work on metabolism, work on our hormones, work on the actual foundation of your health at your maintenance calories, and get your maintenance calories as high as you possibly can without having to be stressed about it, without having to be constantly so full, without having to run 18 miles a day, right? It's like work smarter, not harder. But for me personally, I don't reverse diet myself, not currently anyway. I've not reverse dieted myself more than 1,900, 2,000 calories per day for a long range of time. I can get myself there, but it sometimes takes me a lot of work. And I don't want to be, I would rather live at my maintenance calories of like 1,700 than to be, that causes some food noise for me when I get to the place of then having to worry about taking more food with me and I'm not hungry, but I still need to eat because I'm trying to reverse. Sometimes that can cause some food noise there. So you don't have to get your maintenance calories up, like maxed out just because you can. You want to make sure that it makes sense with your life. As far as, I have time to go for a run. I have time to hit my 10,000 steps. I have time to lift 4 days a week. That's all I have time for. And I don't want to be stressed and make time for anything else. I want to still be home. Still want to be a good mom. I still want to be a good coach. I still, there's other things I want to do with my time rather than meal prep and track my food and exercise, right? So I get myself up to about 1,700, but then my deficit can't be that big. So I have to, in the winter, get myself up to about 1,900 calories so that my deficit can then be 1,700 calories. And I'm still really well fed and I don't have to increase my movement that much. So there are different ways to create a calorie deficit, but it's not always what you need to do in that moment. If you are someone who is chronically under eating, very, very stressed, constant food noise, like I said, starting over every Monday, really confused with your body, if you don't understand your body and if you're not understanding macros and you don't have the basis of a little bit of tracking and a little bit of knowledge around protein, fats, and carbs, if you have no knowledge of this whatsoever, don't put yourself into a calorie deficit because you don't know what you're doing. And it's just not safe for your body and it's not good. It's going to be another thing that you do when you fail at. So if you're someone who is in that position of just like, I'm not eating enough and I don't know what I'm doing and I feel really, really lost, one, you need to join my Fit Club. I would love to coach you in there. It's $35 a month. We have hundreds of ladies in there and it's an amazing community and we can get you going towards your calorie goals and towards your physical goals, and we can work on that together. But two, just take a step back and think, okay, right now I don't know what I'm doing and I don't understand my body. And to be able to really see results in my body, I need to understand my body and I need to understand what kind of fuel it takes. And let me just tell you, this takes 4 to 6 weeks. It's not that long to understand the basis of food and workouts and what you need. It does not take that long. It's okay to go backwards a little bit to understand your body and have a good foundation. Then go forward with your goals. So for me to say, okay, if you're eating 1,200 calories right now and your goal is to lose 30 pounds, we have to take a timeout and we're going to body recomp, change your body composition. And we're going to start by eating more and working out differently. We're going to, focus on getting some muscle mass. I love the SMART scale for that reason. I talked about that in the episode, the body recomposition episode 2. I think I mentioned like when you get on that SMART scale that I'm going to have you purchase if you're in my Fit Club, because then it's not just 150 pounds on the scale. It's 150 pounds, let's say that you weigh, but then it tells you your muscle mass. It tells you your body fat percentage. It tells you your protein amount. It tells you your BMI. It tells you your BMR. It tells you so many things. And you start to understand, okay, I'm really have to lose fat. I really need to put on some muscle. So your mindset shifts from, I just need to lose weight, I want to lose weight, to I need to build muscle. My bone mass is not good. I need to thicken these bones up. I need to work on other things for my health. And the way to do that is to get your food increased, to get your proteins, fats, and carbs balanced, not equal to each other, but balanced for yourself, and work on having a good, strong body and a good, strong relationship with food, health, recovery, sleep, energy, and get your life back for a while to where you can stop stressing about all of this. Once that happens and we get you eating a little bit more and healthier, you stay there for a while. And let me just tell you, the scale does move. You will build muscle, you will lose fat. The scale changes, but it's not just going to be fat loss and it's not just going to be you starving. There's going to be so many other wins along the way. After you do that for a while, then we can put you into a calorie deficit. I have clients that come to me all the time. I want you to put me in a calorie deficit. I do that. And then they start to look at the numbers on the scale and they're like, well, now I want to build muscle because these workouts are fun. I love feeling strong. I want to build muscle. We increase their food, we increase their muscle mass. They're eating more. They love it. They understand. And then they'll eventually be like, okay, now I want to put myself into a deficit. I'm ready, Christy. I understand what it takes. And I will always say, if we put you into a calorie deficit and you feel like you're not ready, like you're not loving this, you're starving. And this happens a lot where they will message me and say, okay, I tried this for a couple weeks. I'm not hitting my goals. I'm eating too much. I'm not hitting my deficit numbers. I feel weak. I feel hungry. My sleep is shitty. I don't want to do this anymore. I'm not ready yet. And they'll go back up to maintenance. We'll increase calories a little bit more. It's fine. It just causes you to love your body more when you're focused on more than that weight loss. Okay. So that was a little sidebar, but I want to talk about the calorie deficit in this way as well. The calorie deficit is a mathematical requirement for fat loss. That's all it is. Okay. It's not a coaching strategy. It's not something that you want to live your life in a calorie deficit. And this is something that I remember when I was doing Beachbody. I remember thinking, I didn't know it was a calorie deficit. I just knew that I wasn't eating much really, but I liked the way that I looked because I looked lean, probably looked skinny actually, because I didn't have much muscle on me, but that's all that mattered to me at that point in time. I thought that I wanted to do that forever. Like, and not because I actually wanted to, I thought that's what I wanted to want was like, oh, I want to be filling these containers and working out 7 days a week and killing myself and not even the gym, killing myself with these workout videos and just working so hard and grinding and being hungry. I thought being hungry was a sign of success. I thought being stressed was a sign of success. I thought working so hard that I hit burnout all the time, I thought that was a sign of success. It's not. A calorie deficit is not a sign of success in terms of you living in it long term. So the math, it's a mathematical equation. As far as like, how do you lose fat? You have to be bringing in less calories than you are burning. That's it. But the application part of that is where things get complicated because two people can both need a deficit, but they can also need completely different paths to get there. One person might need to just track your food and reduce your portion sizes and increase your activity a little bit, and you're there. And that happens with a lot of clients or even one-on-one calls that I get where people are like, I feel like I'm doing everything right, but I'm not increasing muscle mass and I'm not achieving body recomp. And it's just little tweaks. And I'm like, just track your food a little bit more. For me, actually, yesterday, I was just telling a client this, but I started tracking my food again yesterday, which I do every few months just to make sure that what I'm putting onto my plate is the actual portion sizes. And it was not. My little Heath bits that I shake straight out of the bag onto my Ninja Creamy and my oatmeal and my yogurt, I was dumping way more than I thought. Granola, I was eating probably twice as much of that. So these are hundreds of calories per day that I'm adding into my food just because I'm being lazy and not weighing it. But it was very eye opening. So that's all I need to do really is usually increase my steps by a little bit and cut the shit and just track for a week just to see the portion sizes. And that's good. But I'm not in the beginning phases either. Another person might need to increase calories and improve your protein and not walk as much and cut back on the running and start sleeping a little better and start lifting more and build consistency and good habits. It will result in the same outcome, but the strategy is different. So, gosh, I have so much more that I could say on this. I have to make this a two-parter, which is fine. the next thing that I was kind of going to talk about was a reverse diet. And that takes kind of a little bit to explain. But basically, that is what a calorie deficit is. A calorie deficit is simply that. It is what is required as a mathematical equation for calories in, calories out. And it does result in fat loss and weight loss. But it's not something that everyone can dive into. It's also not the goal. I do want to talk about this really quickly. The goal isn't to have the biggest calorie deficit possible. And I did talk about this a little bit ago, saying a 500 calorie deficit is where I think most success is found. If you're going to do, let's say, like a 6-week cut and you want to cut 500 calories off of your maintenance calories, yeah, you're going to see quite a bit of fat loss and you're going to see quite a bit of weight loss. You're also going to see some muscle loss. You're also going to be tired. You're going to be hungry. But it's 6 weeks. So if you can commit to it for even 4 weeks, that's fine, because that would be your biggest deficit though, is that 500 calories. I have a lot of clients that I'll do an 8-week cut with or a 12-week cut, and we're only cutting 200 calories because one, that's all they have to give. If they're only eating 1,800 calories at maintenance and they want to cut, I'm not cutting them down to 1,300 calories with a huge calorie deficit. I'm cutting them down to 1,600 calories, a 200 calorie deficit. They can still train hard. They can still run fast. They can still sleep well. They can still have some leeway. They can still enjoy food with friends, live a decent lifestyle where they're not sacrificing everything and not starting over on Monday and feeling like a failure. So when you're talking about a calorie deficit, the goal is not the largest deficit. The goal is a deficit that you can stick to long enough to create the goal that you want to see. So if your goal is to lose 10 pounds in this 1 calorie deficit, you can probably cut 500. It depends on your starting point. This is very vague. You could probably take 500 calories off for 4 weeks and lose maybe that 10 pounds, or you could take 200 calories off for 8 weeks, still live life, still go to the lake, still have a couple drinks, still have some cookies, right? Not every day, but every once in a while. If you are cutting 500 calories off, you're probably not going to have much fun. That's okay if it's only 4 weeks, but then also what's going to happen after that? Are you going to go crazy on the chips and the drinks and the dips and all the things and put that back on, put that 10 pounds back on because it's not realistic? Or would it be better to have the 200 calorie deficit and you can go ahead and enjoy those things? It's going to take a little bit longer, but it's way more sustainable and you can still have ice cream with your kids, things like that. A good deficit. So I wouldn't say you want the biggest deficit, which would be like 500 calories. I wouldn't say you wanted the smallest deficit, which is like 100 calories, because you're going to feel like I'm in a cut and I'm committed to this. And then the scale's not going to move that quickly. You may feel like giving up. So somewhere in the middle, I would say a good deficit. And this is going to it's going to support your training. It's going to support recovery, energy. It's going to support your consistency still and allow you to have a good lifestyle. A bad deficit makes you miserable. It makes you hungry. It makes you exhausted. It makes you obsessed with food again. We don't want that. And it makes you want to quit. And I don't think that that is absolutely worth it. So this is how, connecting to body recomposition, a calorie deficit is very important. I think I will continue this conversation on in the next episode because we talked about maintenance and how you can lose fat and build muscle in maintenance phase consistently, long term, or you could reverse diet into a build and build some muscle there. And then you can also then turn around and cut some fat and reveal that muscle that you've built in a body recomposition phase. And not even a phase, that's just in body recomposition. So I think that's where I'll go with the next episode, which will be very, very good. And it will tie into this one and kind of complete everything. I will also say before ending this episode, body recomposition is so cool, you guys. And I love that you are loving it so much. Like it truly makes me so happy. It's essentially just changing the look of your body, right? It's changing your body composition. Less fat, more muscle is the goal. And it's going to change the way that you look. It's going to change the way that you feel. It's going to change the way that you literally live. But there are different ways to do that. And so I think continuing that conversation next week, choosing from either maintenance phase body recomp or build and cut phase body recomp, we can dive into that. And then that will also continue on the calorie deficit conversation. So I hope that was really helpful. Please, as usual, leave any questions, comments in Spotify. I read them all. I have a, I actually have a really long tab going now of episodes that I need to record from suggestions that you have given me, which I really appreciate. Some that are just, maybe shorter answers I can put in a Q&A. But you guys have been asking some really, really good questions, and I appreciate it. And it all just comes from this topic of body recomposition. So I'm thrilled to be able to bring this information to you. I'm learning how you guys think of it. I'm learning the hesitations with it, and that's helping me to be able to create content. And I'm actually considering doing some changes, additions to Fit Club to make it more body recomp focused and give you guys even more lessons and hands-on and videos and tutorials. And I'm really excited. It's going to take me a long time to build that, but I think it's what we're working toward and what you guys need. And I'm here to offer that in the best way that I can. So anyway, I hope this helped for calorie deficit. If you have any more questions, leave them here and I will probably answer them in a Q&A just in case I record the next episode before I get these questions. But yeah, I'm excited and hopefully this helps you realize that the calorie deficit isn't the ultimate goal. Eating less for the rest of your life is not the ultimate goal, and we can move from there and figure out what your goal, actually is. So, anyway, I'm done rambling. Thank you so much for listening and I'll talk to you next week.